Good evening. There is something very interesting about birds. They operate on a communication system that is a call and response. They tweet or they beep a little sound, and another bird also repeats this. And it is simply to say, I am here. From the tonality of the tweet, and also the spatial understanding that a bird and creatures like it are gifted with, and the wind, and many other factors that you are as of yet not aware of scientifically. They understand not only the physical position of the other bird, but the state of being that the other bird is in. Perhaps that which just occurred is occurring or about to occur. This communication that is displayed is very, very fascinating, for in it there is no sense of victimhood, nor is there any sense of blame. You would find that odd if there were. Perhaps you could understand victimhood in certain innocent creature's cry for help. There is a certain fear of being a victim to a predator, but that is certainly not why I have come this evening. I have come to speak on the magic of true communication. You believe, and certainly some of your sociologists have formulated a theory that you are in the age of communication or information. Perhaps that is so, depending on what you define as communication or information. Do you define it as spreading certain information over a certain form, a medium, let's say television or your digital information? That communication is reduced to a binary code. Everything in your devices is reduced to this binary code. That is ones and zeros. Even the photographs that you send wirelessly, remarkably, through the air, all of that information is communicated to various points, whether they are towers for your cell phones or satellites floating above the earth, unmanned, then beamed down to similar devices in another location. All of these bits of data are ones and zeros. And beyond that, the processor, the thinker that is in these devices simply knows whether a light is being turned on or off. That is your one and your zero. And so through an infinite and complex number of flashings of on and off, that is how your processor works, to put it simply. Are you with us so far?
Yes.
And so even for you to move your cursor on the screen, even that is reduced to those codes. And how is it that all of these bits of information are reduced to these two simple symbols, so to speak, or frequencies? It is on or it is off. That is your one, your zero. Then, as it is magically sent through the air, that is what your phone is doing. It is taking your thought that you have expressed and entered into the device, the interface, and then it is sending it. And you are very used to this. You do not think more than even once about it, do you? You only think about it if it did not reach them undelivered. Where did it go? Well, it was a technical error that you know nothing about, nor are you interested. You only wish for the communication to be received. And so, bypassing all of this wonder that your thought expressed is being sent through the air wirelessly around the earth, perhaps several times, and instantly in the palm of another being, who then reads it. And as they read your communication that you have typed with certain emotional intent, they will then read it And though you may simply say hello, they can read your tone, can't they? The simple hi and you have a pretty good idea what it means. And if it is a longer text, then you will peer into it more. You are now able to even feel the tone of a communication that has traveled so far and digitally appeared on a screen. It's no longer handwritten, and yet some of you fear the death of the handwritten note. You find it to be more personal. And yet when you were younger, those who are a bit older here, your telephones used to ring at home. Do you recall that? Your home phones used to ring, and you were able to say, I know that ring. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes. And the call necessarily was not one that you were expecting. But you knew that ring. How did you know that ring? The phone is programmed to ring only one way. What has affected it and given it an inflection that only you can hear? And when you answered it, it was them. And now it is happening with your mobile devices. You hear a beep, and you say, I know who that message should be from. Or I know who it is from. And that is what is quite fascinating about your reality, is that emotions affect things that perhaps you do not think they affect. You certainly know it if you have a green thumb. You talk to your plants, don't you? And they seem to grow better. And one might reduce this to a statement that, yes, you must be kind to people, be kind to children so they will grow, give them praise and encouragement, and show enthusiasm for learning, and then they will. And yet those of you who have raised children or are raising them, or have seen children in the world, will know that very often, more often than not, you will find someone who seems to be very disturbed, and yet their parents seem to have done everything right. And even they will say, my folks were wonderful, actually. And then you will find some parents who themselves are very disturbed, and the child is quite fine. And so what is the reasoning? You do not know what your children are going to do eventually. So you cannot own them, can you? And since everyone has a parent, then everyone must understand this. And if you do not even know your parents, don't worry. Most people don't even know their parents at all anyway. If you know what we mean. Find a parent figure. You do not even need to meet this parental figure. You may simply envision them. Gather. Maybe the mountain is your parent. Maybe it is the sun. Maybe it is light. Maybe it is a candle. Maybe it is playing and the feeling of that. That is what has raised you. Our purpose here is for you to open how you receive communication. Or did you think it was how you would communicate? Isn't that interesting? Where did your thoughts go first? Yes, I would like to articulate my communication better, so others hear me more clearly. That is initially, for most people, how they perceive this statement. And yet, what about the communication that you receive? Everything is communicating to you. If you believe it is. We are not here to tell you your reality. We are here to tell you that you create your reality. And the only reality, perhaps, that is a reality is what you feel. Your emotional state dictates what your reality is. There are many who have had many mishaps during the day, but they do not say it was a terrible day. They do not say it was a rough day, it was a bad day. So what is it? If it is raining, is it suddenly a bad weather day? Why is that? The plants certainly will not agree with you. And if you do not feel at one with them, that would explain why you think it is a bad day if it rains. Or if things do not go your way during your day, you are so quick to say, it has been a tough day, it is a bad day. And need we remind you that you are referring to God's day as a bad day. And yet you also wish for the universe to provide you with things that you need. And if it is not the universe that you are asking, well, who is it that you are asking? Your efforts. So many of your efforts perhaps have gone unrewarded or unrecognized. Then what do? What a pity the world did not recognize your efforts. Are your efforts to be recognized, or are your efforts because that is who you are? And what is that communication? If your efforts are to be recognized, then that is your communication. If it is not, and you are simply sharing and being of service, for that is what you are, then you need not look for recognition to give you energy. Where are you sourcing yourself? And so certainly perhaps the age you are in is in the energy resource management age. And that is what your countries are fighting over, and that is what you yourself are struggling with. Renewable, sustainable, free energy. If you could have it, perhaps most of the world's skirmishes would stop. And certainly, indeed, your internal ones would stop as well. And so your transformational work is to free up energy within you. And pray tell, how would you do that? What is blocking this energy? Are you an energy being? Yes or no? That's no yes. Then what sources you? First, you must self-examine before you ask that question. Answer that question. And perhaps even before you ask it. Are you sure that is what sources you? Are you sure it's love and magic sourcing you? Just run a systems check to perhaps make the answer clearer. We will offer you some other options at what perhaps could be sourcing you, though in your highest ideal you would say it is love and hope. Perhaps it is worry or survival that is sourcing you, giving you energy. Perhaps it is seeking that is giving you energy. Always know that if you are seeking, you will then find yourself in a place of revealing your discernment. For then, if someone says, well, here it is, then you will say, let me see if it's really that. And so if seeking is sourcing you, that would be very different than finding sourcing you. If finding is sourcing you, then you will find magic in a crumb on the table. If you are so sensitive, you will connect to even a crumb. And so, what is your source? If something, let us say you say creativity is my source. In what kind of creativity are you referring to? Creating art, that is only one form of creativity. The moment you get to forms, you are lost. Isn't your God formless? So why are you so concerned with forms? You feel that through the form you will release the energy and be able to see that which is formless. Perhaps. But you would have to be willing to die 1,000 spiritual deaths for that. Perhaps you are on your 999th. To be sourced by love What does it mean? Where would you be directed? You feel, well, I will not keep giving my love to people if they do not see it or take it. Some don't even want to get it now. You are either alone, or perhaps you are in a partnership that is not so great, or perhaps you are in one that is great and yet you still feel rather alone. Do not worry. You are not alone in that. And so to source oneself through a surrender to the rediscovery of the core magic code that you are made of. If it was so easy, everyone would do it, wouldn't they? To achieve trigger-free communication, that means that you are able to receive communication and also respond or communicate initially without any emotional triggers occurring. Another person is giving a list of what is wrong with you and what you have done wrong. To be trigger-free does not mean that you are an iron slab and none of it means anything to you, for you have all done that. It means that you are able to receive that which is being shown to you, even if you find it to be preposterous. Why would you then listen to something that is preposterous? Because it's not taking anything away from you. You are always where you are supposed to be. You want such bigger magic. You are working very hard to create another larger magic, and yet you are having trouble finding the magic right here and now, in your life, wherever it may be. For some it takes a near-death experience. For some a terrible illness, for some the birth of a child or the death of a child. What does it take for you? For no matter what age you are, your physical time here is limited, isn't it? And so, communication. You are always communicating with your being. You are emanating communication, even when you are trying to control it. Those who are interested enough to see past whatever it is you're doing, or read into what you are doing, or to receive what you are doing. If there are any who are that interested, they know what you are doing. Why are you doing it? So much energy wasted. And yet you wish for others to be authentic. And you say, well, I am being authentic. I do not wish to lay all my stuff on someone, for if I were to let my anger go, it would be like a red-hot laser beam coming through, and I do not wish to take it out on anyone. So I will be pleasant and spiritual, as they say. And then I will hold my interview process for what is real and what is not, what is proper for me and what is not. And yet nowhere have we heard the word surrender uttered from your being. And what is surrender? Well, surely it is a path to your victory. Opposed to what you have been taught thus far, that surrender is the admission of defeat. Oh, really? So if you surrender to an embrace, you are defeated? If you surrender to magic, are you defeated? If you surrender to the love that you already are and have always been, are you defeated? If you surrender to knowing there is only eternal flow, that nothing happens that is not, as you would call it, supposed to. We do not say supposed to, we say, it shall eternally be as is. All that is will be, always. And you are free to explore all the various channels of creativity and opportunity that emanate from what is happening on the vibratory frequency emotionally at your core. And only you know it. Only you know it. And let us take a moment before we let Mr. Eagle forward to simply tell you how to find out what your vibration is. And as Red Eagle has often said, to know what your God is, you only need to honestly examine the underlying, undercurrent feeling that you have had consistently day to day. That is your God, for it is informing everything you do. So before you say that love is your God, make sure it is not actually worry or self-criticism or denial or fear or sadness or isolation or confusion or even numbness is your God. If you honestly self-examine, you will know what your God is. And that is why you have been experiencing what you have been experiencing. And if it is indeed for you, we are not your judges, certainly we are your friends. And friends tell others to self-examine without beating up on others or yourself. If you do this, you will find out what your God has been. You will see it very clearly. You will answer it in 5 seconds maximum. And then decide if that is a worthwhile God to serve or to rule you. Bless you. I'm Merlin.